The Monty stuff will be pretty quick. There's some other funny stuff as well, but we'll do the Monty stuff first. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the documents. This is quite a big one, actually. I believe it's something like 30 pages. So this is a new filing from Nick's lawyer in the Steve Quest, aka Montagraph case, which is a defamation case. Now, recently, if you're unaware, Harding, who is the Kiwi Farms lawyer, and I believe also Nick introduced Null to Harding, which is very funny, has now started to represent Montagraph. And there's been a change in Minnesota. And like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. If you want the in-depth for this one, definitely check out a friend of the show, Potentially Criminals channel, Sean, as we like to call him. He did a stream on this, I believe, on his Legal Thursdays, and he goes through all of the documents. There is some funny things in this, but to kind of catch you up if you're not aware of it, Montagraph is kind of a weird guy, and I'll be honest, I thought he was a pretty weird guy when I first saw him too. I said some mean things about him, but it seems like we're all too hard on him, and now it's very funny to see him coming out against Nick, and standing up for his name. But he had some weird stuff on the internets. Okay, there's some very, very weird stuff, and he was going up against a guy called Mr. Medica, who's very popular, Jim. Internet aristocrat, many people know him, and he's somewhat of one of Nick's e-daddies. So my main what I believe is the case is that Nick went after Montagraph to make Daddy Jim happy. I absolutely believe that's what happened, because Montagraph was initially going after Jim, and he gave him, like, I believe it was a DMCA request, and you can use this to get someone's real name. It's a very malicious tactic that some people sometimes use. But then one thing you can do is you can, instead of giving your real name in response to a DMCA request, you can give a lawyer's name. And I believe this is what Jim did. He gave Nick as his lawyer, and this was what the thing that Nick was doing at the time. He was kind of like the internet lawman in the sector. He was talking with Andy Warski and Tonka and all that, and Ralph and everything. That's kind of where his channel was, like a wee small channel, like it's becoming again today. But anyway, Nick successfully became a magnet for all of Montagraph's attention, and he started to yell at him and defame him and say all these awful things about Montagraph. And there was a very funny, there's actually in the filings, I believe. I think it's here it is. He says right here, this is Nick's words. Clip this all you want. Sue me if you want. Go ahead and sue me, says Sued Man. Anyway, so that's kind of a bit of a backstory on this lawsuit. Now, if you were following Nick for a long time, you'll also remember that the SLAPP, the Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, was a big thing in the Vic Mignogna lawsuit as well. Now, Minnesota does not have a SLAPP law. It does now, but it didn't at the time of this lawsuit. Now, what a SLAPP is basically, it's the use of lawfare to try and silence your opponent. So like Nick is talking about how Montagraph's a weirdo. Montagraph sues him to get him to stop talking, rather than clear up the very real defamation that Nick absolutely defamed Montagraph. But there wasn't, that's what it is. It's just to stop public participation using lawfare. So Minnesota did not have one of these. Initially, I believe they tried to sue in Colorado, which did, but that got venue shifted to Minnesota. And just recently, Minnesota enacted a version of this SLAPP. Minnesota adopts the Uniform Public Expression Protection Act as anti-SLAPP law. Effective May 25th, Minnesota law adopted the Uniform Public Expression Protection Act to help journalists and public against meritless lawsuits and prevent which are meant to prevent the exercise of their First Amendment rights, and it was signed by Tim Waltz. So Nick has talked a lot, I think, about SLAPP suits, but now he's going to try and use this against his new opponent. Well, I guess it's not a new opponent. This has been going on for a couple of years, which is probably going to work in Nick's to Nick's detriment, really, because there's a problem. There's a problem with this, and they've basically just shoved as much information as possible as they could. It's like 200, 300 pages or something. And this is a monster. This is a monster of a document. And then all the supporting documents as well. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of it. There are some funny parts. I'll show a couple of the funny parts here, actually. If you search for Kiwi, a lot of his links actually come from the Kiwi Farms. So despite having an ongoing battle with the Kiwi Farms, Nick is very happy to use them. And also, if you search for Alyssa, see Alyssa clips, and this is very rude. They didn't capitalize Alyssa's first name. It seems like a little bit of a sloppy behavior from a very expensive lawyer. But see Alyssa clips in the Montagraph introduce himself to potentially create. Like, sure, there you go. So Nick very happy to use the farms, and very happy to quote Alyssa Clips as a reputable source when it does serve him. Now, the problem with this, and the reason I'm not going to go through all of this, apart from look for a couple of funny details, is that if you look at this section in the Office of the Revisitor of Statutes, in the 554.19 Savings Clause, sections 554 and from 7 to 19, do not affect a cause of action asserted before May 25th, 2024, which would mean, since I believe Nick's lawsuit began in like 2021 or 2022, this does not apply. So this entire filing, in my opinion, is a waste of time. I think that all really Harding needs to do, and like, I'm not an expert on the law. I'm not even a layman at the law. I know nothing about the law. I'm just a weirdo commenting on things on the internet. It seems to me that all Harding has to do is point out this one little thing, that that this lawsuit predates this new anti-SLAPP law in Minnesota. Now, some people have, there's two theories about this, is what I've seen, and that is that one, this is just a document that is meant to waste the court's time and specifically rack up the bill. Of course, Nick has hired Mark Randazza, very expensive, I think the premier First Amendment lawyer in America. And allegedly the bill is over $200,000. I think something like $300,000 and $80,000 was the new estimate. And if Montagraph loses his case, he would be ordered to pay the fees. And in fact, they say that at the bottom, I believe. They say in his conclusions, for the foregoing reasons, defendant requires the court to grant the anti-SLAPP motion pursuant to Minnesota statute, dismiss all claims asserted with prejudice, and award defendant their costs and reasonable attorney's fees under the Minnesota statute. So yeah, it looks like this is, well, I mean, you have to take every chance you can, right? So it makes sense that he would file this, but it just seems like a waste of time. And like I said, to kind of rack up the bill. There's a second theory about this, and that is that because Harding joined the lawsuit recently, they asked for an extension on their discovery request. And this is because like Harding needed to get caught up. And I think it was like a 60-day extension. And they use this extension to try and argue that in fact their lawsuit is inside the time frame of after May 24th, which doesn't make sense to me, because anytime you get a new lawyer on a case, of course they're going to need to get caught up, and everyone agreed to this. So either it's one, they're trying to waste time, and I guess you can vote on this. One, if you think they're trying to waste time and rack up the bill, or two, if Nick is trying to use his special little sneaky tactics to once again beat the system, and even though he's never really beaten the system at all. I'm not sure. I think this is a waste of time, and I think it's going to be dismissed, but you'll have to wait and see. Of course, Montagraph does have his GoFundMe, which you can support if you want to help out the Umbrella Man, because that's actually kind of a funny little detail in this, is that let's see, if you look in the introduction, it says amongst plaintiff's works is a video entitled Little Piggy and the Umbrella Man. Now, it's not Tug, not the, wait, that umbrella guy? Wait, yeah, it's that umbrella guy, right? Or the umbrella guy? It's not Tug. But Montagraph also at one point argued that he was the original Umbrella Man when Tug was being very popular during the Johnny Depp case. Kind of a fun little thing. Is Nick trying to use magic words? That may be the case. That may be the case. But like I said, for an in-depth breakdown of this document, you can check out Potentially Criminal. What were the other funny parts in this document that we, well, not we, but some people found, mostly the farmers. Let's see, this is a nice little excerpt from it. As Nick explains within the first minute of his video, he offered his self-described pretentious opinion while drinking heavily, and in quotation, well, in brackets, there's a bottle of 15-year-old Balmore single malt. Yes, he needs to tell the court that he's a appreciator of the finest, expensive whiskeys. What a stupid detail. Like, what a waste of space. Like, literally a waste of the text. You don't need to say that you're drinking heavily, especially the 15-year-old Balmore. I think that's like a $200 bottle of whiskey, isn't it? Hold on, let me check on this. My, it's like $70 to $500? Shit. There was also like, just a sheer amount of documents. Like, it's just like so much. And they just uploaded it like just this week. So I couldn't go through all of this. It seemed like a bit of nonsense for me.